This is Rohan Rajore.
I started my professional journey with 2.4 LPA job in Infosys in 2010. I quit my job and today I run 3 startups making upwards of 3 crore a year. My whole entrepreneurship journey began with guitar tutorials. And then my wife started a translation and interpretation agency and she speaks like about 5 languages.
Yes. Other than Hindi and English, I speak Spanish, Portuguese and French.
Starting from humble beginnings, Rohan talks about his journey of his early career and financial struggles to now making crores through his business and managing his investments.
Whatever you're good at, see how you can monetize that.
Let's get started, Rohan. I think you were talking about the point where your brother had to drop off in 9th standard to support his family. Tell us more about this time.
Yeah, so I had a tough childhood when it came to financial, factors. We were struggling to meet up our expenses. So my brother, he took up the responsibility of the family and he started working with my father and then he started supporting the family.
Okay.
And I think it is because of him that we were able to sustain and stay afloat. Yes.
Tell us more on, your career. When did it start? What was your first job like?
So when I passed on my engineering, I got placed. I got placed into Infosys. That was my first company. And I started with a humble package of 2.4 lakhs per annum.
Okay.
So in hand was like 17,000. But I was happy and elated that, now I'm also able to support the family.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
And from that 2.4 lakh package to now owning multiple businesses, having couple of crores as your income. How has that journey been like? Walk us through the career transition.
Yes. So of course, every professional wants to grow financially and career-wise as well. So I kept learning new things. From Infosys, I moved on to Accenture. And every jump I did, so from Accenture to L&T Infotech and then to Oracle. So 4 companies in a span of 9 years. So over these 9 years, of course, from 20,000, I moved on to somewhere around 1 lakh per month. That was my journey over these 9 years.
Got it. Got it. And so this is 9 years. So roughly 2016?
2015? Yeah,
15,
somewhere around
16.
that. Yeah.
And that's where you started your own business? What was that turning point where you decided to go into your own venture?
Yeah, so that was a very interesting period. And I always had a dream of doing something of my own because I felt my potential is way higher than what I'm doing. But because there was nobody from business background in my circle, it was very tough for me to take that leap.
Okay.
So I met somebody in Art of Living, who was an Art of Living teacher.
Okay.
So he said one very nice line, which I still remember. Whatever you're good at, see how you can monetize that. So I knew how to play guitar. So I thought, how can I, start monetizing my skill, which is, I can play guitar. So it is obvious, I can start teaching guitar, right? So that's where it all began. So
this is with your job?
This is with my job.
Okay.
Yeah. So I used to teach guitar on Saturdays and Sundays.
Okay.
But what was interesting in this whole thing was, it took me 4 years of engineering and 9 years of working in the industry to reach 1 lakh a month. But it took me 6 months to touch 60,000 a month.
Oh.
2,000 per person, right?
Yeah.
That was a big eye opener for me. So that gave me an insight into what's possible with business. Okay.
So that's the point that you were making almost equivalent to what you were making in job, right?
Yeah. But then I also started realizing that there's some, every business has its own cons, right? So the guitar classes, the churn rate was too high.
Okay.
The students would join and 3 months they would drop off. 2 months they would drop off. So then I moved on to the next thing. So I realized that with guitar, I can only move up to a certain level of income, right? And so I moved into the next thing, which was more into translation and interpretation business, foreign languages.
Okay.
Because my wife was a foreign language speaker. So we started foreign language business. And then again, we hit a point where we felt that there is a limit on how much we could scale this business. So then we moved on to the next thing, which was corporate trainings.
Okay.
And that is a business that has stayed on till now. I started as a freelance. And that was a point when I was earning more than what I was earning in my job. I quit my job. I shifted to being a freelancer as a full-time trainer. 2 years I traveled extensively in India. Then I started traveling internationally. I've been to more than 20 countries delivering technology training programs.
Okay.
And that was the best part because my wife traveled with me most of the times.
That's
It became a work/leisure trips. I got in touch with some European companies as well, and they sent us to all the exotic locations. So I was in Prague, Luxembourg, Paris, and Frankfurt, and also doing work and but also enjoying the travel. So we both
Right.
love travel. But then there came a point where I was getting more requests than what I was able to handle on my own. So this was 2018.
Okay.
I started my own training agency firm. We call it Tech Ed Trainings. And then this business grew really well. But then as I went on this journey, I got more ideas. So
Right.
I started a couple of more startups.
Okay.
So all into education. So now I have 3 firms. One, we focus on corporate training programs. Another, we are making video courses now. This is a recent one. And then the third is we are building an app, an edtech app. It has been an exponential growth,
Right.
not just in terms of finance, but also in terms of learnings.
Your story is an inspiration to, I think, every corporate employee out there. And I love the line that you said, right? That if you're good at something, monetize that. And that's precisely what you did when you started off with your guitar freelancing or like the side hustle. The pivotal point, which is your guitar. I would love to hear you play.
Sure.
Let's do that. Oh, that's great, Rohan. How long have you been playing for?
It's almost 15 years now.
Wow. And you started these guitar lessons back in
2014. I was already playing for 4-5 years back when I started teaching.
Got it. So approximately like 2 years later, you took the plunge, right? So Ayushi, what was your reaction when Rohan took the plunge?
I was the happiest. And my family was also very elated
Oh.
because my family, they come from a business background. And, in our family, whoever takes a bold decision, a bold step into their career or ambitions, it's like a, big applause for them. So we really appreciate anybody who has that courage and determination to do that. I know it was a risk. We did have a savings for about like 5 to 6 months. And so that was not a major concern. But the main fact that he was doing that, taking a leap from his job to this training business. So that was a great thing, a great step. So yeah, we just loved it.
Great. Lucky you. So Rohan, in 2014, you started the guitar courses, right? In 15, you started the translation business. And 16 is when you left the job.
Yeah.
And you started into corporate training full time. So a lot of financial planning would have gone into, taking this plunge. Tell us more on the financial planning part of the things.
So although, in guitar and in translation business and both the initiatives or startups, we reached a point where I was making more than my, pay package that I have with Oracle. But we still haven't established ourselves completely in those businesses. We wanted to scale up more. And we wanted to be in a position where we knew that this is something we want to do in a long term, right? So till they reached that point, I didn't quit my job. So it was a very calculated thing because unless you find a stability in your new startup, there is always a bit of uncertainty.
Yeah.
The message is, it takes a while. You might start doing things along with your job, but it might take a year or two for you to really find that place where you can quit it and completely go in a new direction.
Right.
Yeah.
And did you have like any savings back then that gave you like the comfort or the cushion to take this plunge?
If I look back now, I don't think I had a lot of savings because most of the revenue that we generated went back into the business. So I made sure I'm comfortable for the next 3 to 6 months.
Okay. And when you were working like across the 4 jobs that you did, what was like your expenses, savings, investment like back then?
So I hardly met my ends meet. It was not a very big amount of money I was making. I haven't started my mutual fund journey then, but it was mostly FDs.
Okay.
So my financial journey has been a bit slow when it comes to investments.
Okay.
And one of the main reasons has been, it's pretty much the same, that perhaps I didn't have good mentors or around me who could guide me into financial investments area. And now, when I look back, I feel I should have started earlier.
Right.
Definitely.
And when did your financial journey actually start?
So financial journey actually started when I was about to quit Oracle. That was my last company. And that is also the time when I started actively investing in savings.
Okay.
Right. So that was the time when I started looking at mutual funds as well. I was not looking at big investments at that time, but small investments, more in terms of FDs and mutual funds. That was pretty much it, what I was into.
Got it. And what does your current portfolio look like?
As of now, I would say 20% mutual funds, and then 80%, I'm big time into real estate.
Okay.
So 80% of my investments go in real estate.
Okay.
So I buy, when the rates are low, and then I sell at the right time when I'm making a good chunk of profit on top of it.
Got it. Tell us more on real estate, since it's 80% of your portfolio.
Yeah.
Is it through REITs? Is it through physical land? Like, do you put it on rent? How does it work?
Yeah. So not so much into rent. I mainly invest in plots.
Okay.
Because plots are always going to grow. Of course, it has to be a very strategic move, because plots everywhere need not necessarily grow faster, right? Sometimes it can take decades. I generally believe in investing in strategic places. The more accessible your plot is, the faster the growth is.
Right.
So that's one. And then, of course, another thing that I discovered recently is I've invested in some shops in upcoming malls or, marketplaces. And the growth is very fast. So you invest when it's just starting to construct, and then you sell it off when it's ready or when it grows a bit.
Oh, okay. So you primarily invest in like under construction or like plots of land, and then sell once it's made.
Yeah,
Kind
empty plots,
Empty plots.
but mostly gated plots, because the security is a big thing with plots.
And what kind of returns do you typically make in real estate? Or like, what's the highest returns that you have made in a property, for example?
I've got my investment doubled in 3 to 4 years.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And coming to the other part of the portfolio, that's mutual funds. What are like the typical returns that you would make in mutual funds?
Mutual funds can be very varied. It all depends on your portfolio, how you distribute your investments. So overall, if I calculate my returns as of now, it's somewhere around 16%, I would say 16, 17% year on year.
Great. Yeah.
And that's, I feel, is a very good benchmark, I feel.
That's actually very good.
Yeah.
So Rohan, about your expenses, right? You come from a very humble beginning. What were like your expenses back then, and how have they evolved with time now?
So expenses, of course, back then, it was very limited on how much I could spend, right? And as my income grew, definitely the expenses have grown. But the discipline aspect has always been there. Now I have more flexibility to choose a better quality product, to choose a better value add that I can have.
Right. And in terms of, say, percentage of income, right? What percentage were you spending back then, and how is it right now?
Yeah. I would say back then, because my income was limited, a majority went into personal expenses.
Okay.
A majority of them. Sometimes it would even fall short.
Okay.
And that's why I had a very small leeway for the investments.
Right.
And then, of course, again, putting money in the business. But now, because my revenue has grown, I would say 30% of my revenue is what I keep for my personal expenses.
Okay.
That includes my vacations, that includes the gadgets which I want to buy for myself, my own hobbies, and the day-to-day expenses.
Okay.
That also includes the medical expenses that I have for my mother or anybody in the house. So all inclusive. About 50-60% is what I put back in business, and my investments is what the general number that I have. Again, out of this 50-60%, I would say half of it goes as an investment, half of it goes for business.
Okay.
There is a good percentage I keep as liquid capital for my business, because in business you always have some uncertain expenses. Right. So you need to have something spare. 3-4% I donate. So yeah, that's how the division is. Pretty simple. Yeah, but
that's nice. Coming to your income streams, right? You said you have multiple income streams now. So how is your income divided across the 3 businesses that you have?
The platform that we are building, the app, it is yet to launch, so we have not yet started monetizing it. So my income right now is from 3 streams apart from that. One is the Udemy the video courses that we launch on Udemy and other platforms. That takes care of about, I would say, 25%. A majority of my income, about 60%, comes from the corporate training business. And the remaining 10-15% is I personally love teaching. I still go myself in the training room for some specific customers, with whom I have a long-term relationship, who have been with me from the start of my journey. That's how it's divided.
Got it. Got it. So coming back to, Rohan, your money mindset, right? I think when you were speaking right from your early childhood, from that humble beginnings to today, where you have over 3 crores income across the 3 businesses that you have, how has your money mindset evolved with time?
So there are quite a few things which I realized over this journey. One thing is, when you are on this mode of being financially independent, you are on this run to earn more money, more money. And then what happens is in this run, somewhere you ignore your health, somewhere you ignore your relationship, somewhere you ignore your family. But now, if I look back and see, I would want to balance it out a bit more. I've heard a very popular quote from Sri Ravi Shankar. He usually says people spend half their health gaining wealth, and then they spend half their wealth to gain back the same health. So while you're on this journey to become more prosperous, it's important to take care of your health and your relationships, to sum it up.
So from doing job to now doing business and seeing all the peaks and valley, Rohan, your story, it's not just like inspiration in terms of breaking out of that rat race and, doing something of your own or owning your time. What does financial freedom mean to you?
So financial freedom to me is, it has multiple layers. First layer is your needs are taken care of. So when I say needs, it's not just the food and the grocery. I want to buy a new piano, or I want to go on a vacation. Small dreams you might have, small things you might want. The second aspect of financial planning is you have good future investments. I think these are the two major aspects. And then the third part is having some buffer, having some spare amount for uncertain things, because life is unpredictable. I think these three things are taken care of. It's pretty smooth. When you get started with this journey, I've seen myself going through 4 phases. At first, you're juggling with your job and the new startup. Then you find, some leverage, some movement, and then you say, okay, now I earn enough and I can quit my job. So there is a phase where you're looking for work. You're actively searching for opportunities.
Right.
There's a second phase. You enter the third phase where you've made enough connects in the industry and now you're not hunting for job, work comes to you. And then you enter the fourth phase where you get more work than you alone can handle. That's the time you build a team, you scale up. That is a journey. There's a 4-step process. And this is an organic way of growing. Initially, you're looking for money, right? That's what's in your mind. After a certain point, after a certain threshold, and this threshold could be different for different people. After a certain point, you look for more time.
Yeah.
Then you say, I'll let go of this money just because I want more quality time for myself. Yeah.
That's financial freedom.
Yeah.
That's freedom.
That's freedom. That's true freedom.
That's true freedom.
Yeah.
Perfect. Great. I think perfect note to end this conversation. I've had such a lovely time. Thank you so much.
Same here. Thank you so much.